Well guys, today's video is going to be a little on the shorter side, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. We are reviewing Stage 6's Paddock stand. This will pretty much work for any scooter. It's kind of universal. So I'll show you later in the video what hardware you can get to make it work with really pretty much anything. And I will address the elephant in the room at the end of the video. So we will be putting the spindle on this bike. I do already have spindles on these other bikes. You can order extra spindles from Scooter Attack. Some other places have them too, but I had to do an order from there. So that's kind of just what I ended up doing. But we got spindles and we got extra hardware that I ordered from Amazon. I believe it's just an M8 bolt with a Allen head is what I ended up getting, and it works great for these Minarelli engines. But let's get into unboxing this, and we do have some other goodies that I ordered a while ago for these other scooters. So, little disclaimer, I did already open this box, but I didn't go through it. I just opened it because I was worried that the other stuff that I ordered didn't come because it just looked like the stand box. But luckily the other stuff is in here. So this is still kind of me unboxing this for the first time. This is a Polini high-speed CVT variator kit. So this is going to come with the contra spring, the belt, the variator, the weights, everything you really need to throw this in a scooter. Originally I bought this for the Baja Scoot. The plan was to put this right in the Baja Scoot and keep that a 50cc. We were going to do the Yazuni R exhaust, and we were going to put my old clutch and bell setup that I had in my 89 prebug in there and kind of just do a little bit of a budget build with that. After adding all the stuff, the cosmetic stuff that we did to the bike, it is a little heavier now. I haven't thrown the exhaust on yet, because throwing that exhaust on and not jetting it, not having a clutch in there, and not having a variator in there is not going to be great for it, because that exhaust is going to raise the power band up a little bit. So the stock clutch is going to be grabbing too soon, and we're just going to have a really boggy bottom end. However, I did end up picking up this bike, which we will get into in another video. We will do that very, very soon. But I think we're going to put this setup in this bike. I'm going to just keep this basically completely stock. We're gonna do like a stock build with this, where we pretty much keep it all the same plastic, same motor. I'm just gonna do some small stuff on there that kind of enhances being able to enjoy the scooter a little more, just make it more usable. So the CVT stuff is gonna be one of those things. So we probably are gonna put that in here, and then I think we might end up building the motor on the Baja build because it's just a little too sluggish for me now. Then the other thing we have in here is a 30-degree Polini air filter. Now I had one exactly like this. I put my old one on the Baja Scoot because the airbox no longer fit on there with the rear shock that we used. So this is gonna go on my 89 now. This is just a replacement for what I took off of there. And then here we have the stand. So we have the hardware, and one of these, if I'm not mistaken, is for Piaggio motors. Is that how you say it? I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but this smaller one with this groove in it, I believe is for the Minarellis because it has the M8 hole in it. And then this one I think is an M10. It's got a little bigger hole, so if you put an M8 bolt, which is meant for the Minarelli shocks, in here, it kind of rattles around, but I'll show you later. I ordered some hardware so you can use this on the Minarellis too. Here's some hardware. I'm not sure if this is hardware for those or if this is to put the stand together, but we're gonna put it together right now and we'll end up seeing what this is for. So a big reason why I wanted to get this is because I knew we were gonna have to take the center stand off of the Baja build. Because with the shock that we put on it with the rise, it just was never gonna be hitting the ground, and we were gonna have to get rid of that center stand. So I got it for that. And then actually my center stand on my 89 ended up breaking. So we no longer have a center stand on that for now. So it kind of worked out good. I was gonna end up needing it either way. So it'll definitely get some use, and it's kind of nice that I can really use this on any scooter with some slight modification. So there's really not a lot of pieces of this. It looks relatively easy to put together. So I think these 3 bolts are for the stand, and then these ones are for the spindle that goes on the bike. All right guys, so here is the stand. Went together pretty easily. There is a slight bit of wobble on here. And I did try loosening these up again, pushing it flat on the ground, tightening everything up, and it still has a little bit of wobble. So I don't think that'll really cause much of an issue once the bike's actually on the stand, but we'll see. So real quickly, I just wanna go over the hardware situation with this. So if you're using this on a vertical Minarelli, you'll need this one with the hardware it comes with. You can see this fits perfectly in there and there's very little play. If you try to use this with the bigger M10 one, which like I said, I think this is for a Piaggio motor, it has some play and it won't really necessarily sit totally flat in there, or totally straight, I should say. And you can see that the head of this bolt is like almost the exact same size as this hole. So I'm sure it would be fine, but it definitely has more play than it's designed to have. So what I did is I ordered this hardware to use with the extra ones that I had, and then I ordered this. This is an M8 by 16 or 15 millimeter, I think. But this is basically the same inside diameter as this. So it kind of just helps center it. So you can put this on here and then put it on the M10 one, and it fits pretty snugly. Obviously this side still has some play, but once it butts up against the shock, it gets nice and tight. So if you do want to use this hardware with the bigger M10 one, you just have to buy these washers. I found these on Amazon, or you can go to your local hardware store. They would probably have them too, but definitely fits better than just throwing this bolt in here. I would be kind of nervous with that because it is your, shock bolt. So if that comes loose or this breaks or something like that, your tire is going to slam into the rear fender and probably lock up. So this, I think, is definitely a good option to run with these. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just slide this on here and go ahead and lift it up. It sits pretty good. Hits the center stand, so it might not be a bad idea to take that off the center stand first. But I mean, it definitely sits on there. It does sit at a little bit of an angle, but it doesn't look like that's moving. I think it's just because there's a little bit of play in the shaft right here. The tolerance isn't like super tight to make it easier to put it on. But it definitely holds up the bike. I wouldn't sit on there, but to hold it up and be able to run this, if you don't have a center stand on your bike, definitely is nice. But another good reason to get this stand, even if you do have a center stand, if you're running it in a garage like this that has the floor done or anything like that, you guys know these bikes vibrate like crazy, and especially with the center stand, they will chip up concrete like a mini jackhammer. You can see here, when I was running this bike, I wasn't even running it for that long, but this one just vibrates like crazy, and it chipped away the epoxy coating on there. So what I'm gonna do with the stand, these wheels are like, they're like skateboard wheels. They have that epoxy rubber on them. But I also am gonna put some rubber pads on the bottom of this part where it meets the floor, just so if I do wanna run this in the stand, it's not gonna leave any type of mark in the floor. These prebugs definitely sit really nice on this stand. There's not really like any clearance issues. It sits around the case fine. The tire sits fine. The center stand sits fine on there. There's really nowhere where I would see any potential clearance issues like that. So it definitely fits good with these. Should have left my center stand up because this is gonna hit here if I try to kick this over. So if you do have a center stand, I'd leave it down. That way you can kick over your bike if you need to. The electric start works pretty good on this, so I don't know if this is gonna start right now, but definitely sits in there good. And like I said, if you don't have a center stand and you need to be able to, for some reason, run your bike and rev it up and stuff like that, this is definitely a good option. Maybe you're doing some CVT stuff and it's always super nice to have either a center stand or a stand like this for that. On both these bikes, now that I don't have center stands, it's kind of a pain to work on the CVT with it on the side stand because they just like to roll around and kind of tip over and stuff when you're doing that. So this sets it up at a nice angle and you can still get to everything while it's in there. It looks like you could definitely take the CVT cover off with this still on that stand. So yeah, I think overall it's a good purchase. I don't remember the exact price, so I will put that on the screen right here. I did end up getting this one from Scooter Tuning CA because they were the only one that really had it in stock right now. I do think that Scooter Attack also has a stand, but there's a few different scooter places that do have this stand, so you know, just go on Google, find it. I'm sure they're probably all around the same price. So overall, I'd give this thing, you know, probably 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing that's really wrong with it is it has a slight bit of wobble because that's not totally flat, but once you have the weight on it, like back here, it doesn't really move. It kind of just sits on the flat part. So it's not really that big of a deal. The only other thing though that I will say is on some of these bikes, like the bike definitely is not sitting completely straight. It has a small amount of give on there, but there's really not any other good ways to prop up a bike like this that has a CVT where it's on one side. It's not like it has a swing arm where you can jack it up from both sides like that. I am curious to see if any of you know any good stands to use on the front. Not that I'll really have to use them on here a whole lot, but I would assume that pretty much any other motorcycle stand would fit in the front here as long as it can go narrow enough to grab onto both those forks. So if you guys have any front stands that you guys use on your bikes, let me know in the comments. But I do think the Stage 6 stand is definitely the best Paddock scooter stand that I've seen out there. And I personally like using just a milk crate on the bottom if I'm working on any of the suspension components or tires or anything like that, because it is pretty easy to put on there with these bikes. They're pretty light. But if you had something a little bigger like a Bug Eye or any of the 125 ZUMAs or anything like that, that might be a little harder to lift up on the milk crate yourself. These pre-bugs, it's no issue. These are like the same weight as a pit bike pretty much. So the milk crate fits perfectly under there. But this is nice and convenient. You just slide it on and you can push it up by yourself in 2 seconds. So this is pretty nice. And honestly, it does look pretty sick. Well guys, that is gonna do it with today's video. I know it was a little shorter than usual. I did originally wanna combine a video that I'm gonna do on this with the center stand video, but I kinda wanted to just make it its own thing. So we're gonna do a shorter one for this week. But in the upcoming weeks, we will be doing a video on this thing. And this is the new addition to the family of pre-bugs here. This is a 1990 ZUMA 2. So this has basically all the same stuff as the 89, except it has the passenger pegs and the slim double seat. So this is before they did the higher double seat and the bigger gas tank that the newer pre-bugs had. In the future, we are gonna go into more detail about this bike. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.